Hi guys, Dave here with Fresh Baked. Looks like we've got two major stories breaking this morning that I wanted to share with you guys. We've got somewhat definitive news regarding Tarzan's Treehouse and some amazing photos of construction progress in Toontown thanks to Mice Chat. First, let's talk about Tarzan's Treehouse, where the OC Register is reporting that Disney has officially decided to end Tarzan's run as resident of the Adventureland Treehouse. The treehouse has been closed since last September, going on 7 months now, leaving many of us to wonder just what in the heck they're doing. Turns out, I don't think even Disney knew what they were doing. In fact, I'm still not sure they know what they're doing. Per the OC Register, Disneyland will reimagine the treehouse with a new theme and backstory. Note, though, that they did not confirm what that new backstory is. Some are reporting that this is for sure Encanto, and this is based on a previous report from Mice Chat, but they suggested that Encanto might be a logical, strong possibility for a Tarzan's Treehouse retheme, which it is. It's a great idea, in fact, in my opinion. But this is not coming from Disney directly, nor was Mice Chat even saying that. They were saying that this is a good idea. But that's how the news echo chamber works these days on the internet. You've got one site that suggests it, it's a pretty good idea, and then enough other sites report on it where to the point where it starts to sound like fact. Not saying that it won't happen. In fact, I do think it's very likely that it does, but it's not official yet. In fact, in that same article from Mice Chat, they suggested that another possibility might be the Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse. This based on the understanding that there is a reboot, a new Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse series being planned for Disney+. So it makes sense for them to do a little synergy on that. And that's something that Disney is doing a lot of these days, or they're going to be trying to, is doing a lot of synergy with IP coming from Disney+, not necessarily theatrical release movies. But what they wind up putting in Tarzan's Treehouse is really kind of the second story of this. The main story, the lead story here, is that they have decided to end Tarzan's run at Tarzan's Treehouse. And really, I think it's best. Nobody really cares about Tarzan, the theme anyway. They care about the treehouse. They care about the treehouse as a place to go. I love the treehouse. Not so much Tarzan as a theme. In fact, one might even say that the Tarzan theme could possibly inhibit guests from going up into the treehouse, otherwise skipping a lovely attraction. But because it's a theme that nobody really cares about, they have no interest in going up there unless you already know what it is and love it. I personally love the treehouse, not Tarzan per se, but I love the fact that the treehouse exists in Adventureland. So it is comforting to me to know that the treehouse is once again going to survive a possible removal. So whether it's Encanto or Swiss Family or whatever, it doesn't really matter to me as long as the treehouse stays. It is telling, though, that this news is coming, 7 months after the attraction closed? That tells me a little bit that they've just decided to do this recently. I believe this because there's really been no actual action behind those scrims. If they were up to something significant, I have to think we would have seen or heard something more than what we have heard so far. It also tells me that whatever they're doing will be more along the lines of a low-budget reskin rather than a major overhaul of the tree. And while we're on the topic of speculation, I think if Disney's going to go the cheap reskin route, Swiss Family Robinson makes a lot more sense. Because I think that Encanto needs a lot more than a cheap reskin. We alluded to this in our previous video last week. I don't think you can go in there and just change a few scenes and call it Encanto. I think you need a whole new tree to do that. But you don't need an all-new tree if you go back to Swiss Family. Speaking of which, one final thing. Mice Chat also reported on their update about Tarzan's Treehouse that Disney is planning to remove the stump and the bridge, the thing that connects the land to the tree itself in Adventureland, the thing that sits right in the middle of that walkway in Adventureland. They're going to be removing that stump and bridge as early as today. As soon as today, they're going to start doing that. And that's how guests get into the tree today. So that asks the question, how then will guests be going up the tree? Well, in looking at some photos of the old Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse, I do get the feeling that they're going to reverse directions, and they may send guests up the stairs, the stairs that guests currently use to exit the treehouse. That's how they used to do it back in the day. By looking at these photos, you can see guests going up on the left and down on the right. One more clue, perhaps, that they could be returning this to Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse, because that's how they did it before. In fact, I think at this point, looking at the evidence that we have so far, hearing what we've heard so far, I think it's at least just as likely that this winds up being Swiss Family as it does Encanto. I may even be, if you had asked me last week, I would have said Encanto. If they're going to do anything at all, it would have been Encanto. But hearing the news about the stump, understanding that, we've got the Disney Plus series coming out, or they're in production. I don't know. I may even lean towards Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse right now. And if that is the case, then I think I could find my way to forgiving them removing the stump and the bridge. Because I love the bridge. Guys, the bridge was the best part of Tarzan's Treehouse, if you ask me. That was the most fun thing. You climb up the stairs and you make that first cross, and you get to look out over Adventureland, over the walkway and everything, and make that, that trek across the bridge, and then you start making your way up the tree proper. To me, that seemed like the most fun thing to do. To take that out kind of, that hurts my soul a little bit. But I could forgive them that because that's the way it originally was when it was Swiss Family. And so many of us have been, I think maybe they are listening. And it makes sense, again, if you're going the cheap reskin route. Many people have said, I would much rather have the Swiss Family Treehouse than Tarzan's Treehouse. There you go. I would love to hear your thoughts on this, though. Encanto or Swiss Family, or even a third option. Leave it at Tarzan's Treehouse. I don't think anybody's going to pick that. Vote in the comments below, though. I want to hear what you guys think. I'm waiting for a ratio on this. Okay, with that said, our second big story was these, again, Mice Chat's in the news today. Amazing aerial photos provided by Mice Chat of the ToonTown Construction. These things are fantastic. I've been trying to take my camera through the trees on Disneyland Railroad and catch a glimpse of a single piece of scaffolding. And then here comes Mice Chat with these helicopter shots, getting aerial photos. Well done. Well done, Mice Chat. So let's take a look and see what we can learn. And we're going to start here, where the scaffolding in the middle of the frame is the ongoing construction of the entrance to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. That's the stuff that we've been shooting from inside Toontown. But our focus is going to be on the areas around it, where they have quickly demolished the gazebo in front of the food court. The gazebo is where I shot our construction videos. So that's gone, as is basically any concrete walkway that existed anywhere around it, or in Toontown in general, as we'll soon see. Also gone is the Jolly Trolley Station, but that tree is still there. Next, the Roger Rabbit Fountain is gone. All of it will not return. And of course, lots more dirt. Those trucks are the entrance to the land, and on that truck's left, that blue truck, was the area formerly known as Toon Park. Will not return. Take a look at the concept art and you'll see that they're planning this whole new big tree thing. Where it's a park where you can sit on the grass and enjoy a lunch and everything. It's going to be lovely. That's about the area where that tree is going to exist. Here's a longer view that reveals Goofy's house under scaffolding. So look for some retheming there when the land finally reopens. Also missing from Goofy's house is his backyard. That area with the slides and the pumpkins and that spongy floor. That's all gone. Moving in a little closer, and you can see that as of now, there does not appear to be any scaffolding on Donald's boat, though I do think that'll eventually happen, because in a previous update from Disney, they mentioned that both Goofy's house and Donald's boat will be reimagined. I still don't know yet if that means reimagined to something entirely different, or if they're just going to, is it still going to be Goofy's house and Donald's boat, or is it going to be something brand new, something all new? I'm inclined to think the former. I think it's going to stay Goofy and Donald's, but we'll see. The concept art shows a little bit of change, which is why I didn't recognize it right away in the concept art, because I'm like, that doesn't look exactly like Goofy's house, but it's close enough that it makes you think it is. The structures will remain. We'll see how they wind up looking when this is done. Finally, follow the dirt and you'll see something else is gone, not to return. The interactive Mickey Mouse fountain with all those sounds, those goofy sounds, no pun intended. Per the concept art, it looks like they're going to replace it with another grassy area with a tree right in the middle. I have to say, I prefer this. I understand that the fountain, I think it's cool and it looks great, but I think that what Toontown was lacking is what we're getting. It was lacking organic. It was lacking nature. It was lacking shade and trees and things of that nature. So this little just natural setting, a park with a tree, I like it. Back on the topic of scaffolding, looks like there's quite a lot of it on the back side of the land as it borders Gadget's Go Coaster. There's the lift hill for the roller coaster, and behind that, there are some of those themed hill and mountainsides. So either they're getting reimagined as well, or maybe it's just new paint for that border of the land. Finally, here's an update that a lot of you have been wondering about. What's going to happen to Chip 'n Dale's treehouse? Well, it's gone. Will not return. The dirt there is where Chip 'n Dale's treehouse was, and this, of course, asks another question that many have had. Are they going to build a portal from Toontown to Galaxy's Edge? Or matter of fact, the question is, when are they going to build a portal? They should build a portal from Toontown to Galaxy's Edge. Are they going to? Short answer, no, not in my opinion. Couple of things. So far, they've shown some care in what they've removed and what they've left behind. And what they left behind so far would not be conducive to building any kind of tunnel connecting the two lands. Second, and more importantly, I'm not even sure it's possible. Fresh Baked Street Team have provided us some recon on that space that exists between the two lands. Okay, here's the treehouse. And all the way over here is Oga's Cantina and the Millennium Falcon, the most likely destination or access point between the two lands. That's a fair distance to travel via tunnel, first of all. And it has to be a tunnel. They can't just build a walkway. It has to be a tunnel in order to obscure all that backstage stuff that we're going to talk about in just a second. But it has to be some kind of enclosed situation. You can't just march people through backstage. You can see these two areas are not exactly backyard neighbors. There's quite a bit of backstage infrastructure in the way. The teal circle building is costuming for the citizens of Batu and Toontown, a very necessary thing to exist. It would be terribly inconvenient to relocate this. Not to mention the cost to do all this just to build a connector to the two things. It's not logical to do that. Likewise, the red circle building, that's storage for Phantasmic, as I understand it, also a quite necessary structure. And you can also see that those two buildings pretty much connect, limiting any sort of opportunity that they might have had to carve a path for guests between Toontown and Galaxy's Edge. Third, that yellow line, that's a supply chain line, a road that enables Fantasyland to receive deliveries. Putting in a new tunnel or anything at all that would connect the two lands would block that road most likely. And fourth, and this might be the most important observation, I don't think that Disney ever wanted to. I don't think they ever wanted to build a connector. I don't think they ever even thought about it. If memory serves, the red and teal buildings were built as part of the Galaxy's Edge construction. In fact, if I recall, they were the first two things that they built. So too was that supply lane road that goes under the Disneyland Railroad here. That road and those two buildings, all of this was purpose-built with intent when they built Toontown. In other words, if they wanted to connect Toontown and Galaxy's Edge, or even leave open the possibility later on to connect the two lands, they wouldn't have built the land the way that they did. They would have made allowances. They would have made a path. They would have just done it to begin with. I think really the bottom line is that there's just too great a distance between the two lands and too far a distance to travel for any sort of guest-friendly means of access between the two. It's not conducive to things. There's too much distance, so I don't think they ever really thought that was an idea. I don't think it was ever a consideration. But of course, I mean, I could be wrong. That's just my opinion. That's just my observation, and those of some people that I've talked to who are familiar with the area, who know better than I do. Don't look for a connector, but we'll see. And that's it, guys. Exciting stuff, man. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Tarzan's Treehouse winds up. I'm rooting for Swiss Family Robinson, to tell you the truth. I'm rooting for that. I'm a nostalgic guy, and I think that Disney is. I think they know in a lot of ways that we love nostalgia as much as we love IP synergy. Actually, I think we love nostalgia more here at Disneyland. We love nostalgia more than IP synergy. I don't know if Disney does, but as long as they've got something modern to make some sort of synergistic connection, then they're going to go for it. They can give us both. They can do the Disney Plus thing and give us the nostalgia. Let me know what your thoughts are and about what's going on at Toontown. Again, exciting stuff. Hopefully Mice Chad can get access to that helicopter again and get us some more photos, because I certainly can't do it from the ground, you guys. But that's it. Stay tuned for more from Fresh Baked. We're going to be following this very closely, as you know. Until then, follow us on Instagram at _FreshBaked, on Twitter at FreshBakedDisney. That's fresh with no E. And on TikTok at Fresh Baked Disney. We've also got our website, freshbakedisney.com. And if you like our show and want to show your support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/freshbaked. Otherwise, thanks again for watching, everybody. We love you very much. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And Fresh Baked.